Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Los Angeles. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler. It's round number 5, and I'm pretty excited here, Randy. I get to see Savage Knuckleblade battle under the lights here in the hands of Brian Kibler. He's on Temur Monsters. He loves this deck. He played it at the Pro Tour. He made some changes. He's back, and he's ready to fight. He's playing against Andrew Kellogg, who's on Jeskai Burn. So is this some crazy Jeskai Burn
No,
list here,
it's
Randy?
pretty much the vanilla Jeskai list.
Okay. It's
Seeker,
what we
Mantis
know.
Rider, Rabble Master. He's got 2 Banishing Lights, 3 Dig Through Time, 3 Sarkin. I mean, it's pretty vanilla.
Okay. So
It's
this
just-
is a good test, though.
This is a great test as Temur for real. This is the kind of deck it has to be able to beat if it's a real thing. The change, you were talking about how Kibler had made some changes to this deck since the Pro Tour. He's gone long on Ash Cloud Phoenix. He's up to 3 Ash Cloud Phoenixes now. He felt like the flying is good. It curves out nicely. No dragons. I mean, he's the Dragon Master, but no Storm Breaths. Down to 1 Sarkhan.
So he has a Dragon Speaker.
1 Dragon Speaker. That's all we get.
Okay. So in this game, he starts off things with a turn 2 Rattleclaw Mystic. Interestingly, he's playing 2 different morphs now, so there are some interesting questions that could arise.
Yeah.
And Andrew has a pretty nice one here with Seeker of the Way.
Turn 3, though, with the all comes into play tap
Yeah.
land curve.
Could be awkward. It depends on how much pressure Brian Kibler can mount here. We're on turn 3. He's going to have 4 mana available. He could play an Ash Cloud Phoenix if he's got the
Heir
mana
of the
for
Wild.
it.
I see Savage Knuckleblade.
He could play Knuckleblade and give it haste in battle, though it does feel like
Do you have an untapped
racing. He does. He's got a Wooded Foothills, I
sweet.
believe. Yeah.
That's got to be the play, right?
I don't know. I mean,
What else is he going to do?
Seeker of the Way does a pretty good job of making a Knuckleblade hit for 4 a lot less good. If, like, Andrew Kellogg says, okay, untap, burn your, well, hell,
Even
burn
your
the
Rattleclaw,
Knuckleblade, yeah, or the Rattleclaw,
Either
and
way.
then hit you for 3, yeah. Okay, there it is, Savage Knuckleblade.
Does he have a Crater's Claws? Oh, that is spectacular.
Wow!
I was just thinking,
Yes.
Brian was talking to us when we ran into him in the hallway, that he loves Crater's Claw for 0. The fact that the Knuckleblade turns on Crater's Claw for 0, that's how this deck catches up and takes the lead. Normally with a deck like this, it's really good at staying ahead once it gets ahead, but it's so hard because of your spells are expensive to do 2 things on the same turn and actually come from behind and sort of recover tempo, take the lead when you're starting out behind. But Crater's Claws is the card that can let you do it. The ferocious ability.
I asked him if he's killed many opponents with it, and he said many. That thing also just does a ton of damage in the mid to late game when you can fire it off for 6 or 7. Using the Rattleclaw Mystic or maybe the Elf that he randomly has laying around, plus having something like a Knuckleblade up, and all of a sudden you can hit for 7 or 8, 9 pretty easily. That was a sweet play there from Kibler. So nothing from Kellogg. He does have 2 Jeskai Charm in hand, though, so decent chance that we see one of those here. Kibler's got a pretty nice plan against that, at least pre-combat. Can hit for 6 here. Like, I can see how this deck could pile up damage very quickly. They both fight. And Kellogg's in a weird place here. Like, if he wants to try to bounce a Knuckleblade...
He could have done that on his main phase, though.
Yes.
Like, he waited until Kibler untapped his mana.
And now Kibler can bring it back to his hand, though it does put Kibler in an awkward spot just because it'll use up his entire turn. And yeah, it looks like Kellogg wants to do that.
Oh,
and
Brian's not interested in
He's got other
spending mana.
plans, it looks like.
Interesting.
And meanwhile, take 2, by the way, from the Mystic. People, I think of it primarily just as a mana creature, but it does have the ability to do quite a bit of damage after it loses its usefulness. And here we're going to see Savage Knuckleblade again in a great spot. That red for haste is going to be sweet because Killer's like, okay, fine, we won for 1, but you're going to be taking a bunch of damage next turn, and that's also going to turn on Heir of the Wilds.
Yeah, I like how focused on tempo and board state Brian is. Rather than pick up the Knuckleblade there, he just wanted to get Heir of Wilds onto the table. He wanted the second attacker.
I mean, Andrew Kellogg stands to take 9 damage next turn. Like, that's without Kibler having anything in his hand at all. So he's played a Rabble Master here.
Yeah, the Heir of the Wilds we saw in Mike Sigrist's deck on the Abzan aggro side of things. They weren't 3/3s quite as often.
No.
Anafenza could turn them into 3/3s, but here Kibler with the Knuckleblade can trigger the ferocious ability on the air. too nice. Brian doesn't really want to let Rabble Master get out of control, though.
Gosh, I feel like if he gets Andrew Kellogg firmly on his back heel here, that he can kind of ignore it, right? Like, it's not a good blocker. The goblins have to attack anyway. He could find himself in a race situation that he might not be advantaged in if Andrew has a bunch of burn to back it up.
Yeah,
and
the
kinda
Jeskai
close
deck
the
has
door.
more reach.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of burn, Kibler is on. He's got 3 lightning strikes. He does have the Crater's Claws, but he doesn't have the burn suite that Andrew Kellogg has.
How many Crater's Claws is Kibler running?
4.
The full amount.
He,
All
and I
right.
think that's his second best card, behind only the Knuckleblade.
Tough decision here for Kibler, and he
Right.
is going to replay the Knuckleblade. He's got 2 mana available here, though, and he can even have another land drop if he's got it. But no, he is going to go ahead and give the Knuckleblade haste here. And crash, crash, crash. You're going to take 9 here, Andrew.
Yeah.
You better find something. Now, does Andrew run Disdainful Stroke? I think I see one in his hand.
Really?
I can't quite see
No,
what it
is
was.
it a dig, maybe?
Maybe it's a dig. Okay.
Yeah, there's none anywhere on his list.
All right. So dig through
Oh,
time.
3. I'm sorry, they're in the sideboard.
Okay, yeah, but we're game 1, so that's not what I saw. It must be a dig.
And Andrew decided to block the Rattle Call with his
Yes, he
Rabble
did.
Master. You know you've pulled ahead on tempo.
You got
when
there.
When Rabble Master is blocking a Grizzly Bear.
No kidding. And here's Sarkhan. And Sarkhan will
Yeah,
be able
comes
to
in 1
kill-
loyalty,
Yeah.
kill that 4 toughness guy.
Yeah, it's going to be a tempo loss for Kibler and a 1-for-1 for Andrew Kellogg here, as Sarkhan's gonna end up dying to the Heir of the Wilds most likely here. It is not impossible that Kibler ignores Sarkhan and says, "Look, what are you going to do? Attack me next tournament? 19? I don't care." Right? And it's not like you can minus it to kill anything else.
Speaker.
You usually do kill it, but there are times when you don't. Like for example, if Kibler had another Savage Knuckleblade, I would assume that he would play it, give it haste, and both of them hit Andrew there.
I would split him.
Would you?
Yeah, Knuckleblade hits Andrew, and the Heir. You've still got lethal next turn.
Let's see. So he would take 4, 7. Yeah, you're right. Okay, fair enough. Let's see what Kibler decides. It does look like he's thinking
Yeah,
about
he's
it
thinking.
here. I think he's got a pair of Boon Satyrs in his hand,
Oh my.
which that does make things a little different when you can't
Does.
split the
Exactly,
damage.
exactly.
He effectively has that
4-power
exact play
haste
we
creature.
just talked about.
Except
but-
he can't split.
Yeah, all right. He says, got to get rid of Sarkhan. Man, I would have just domed him. Take 6. You're dead next turn. What do you care about
It's a
Sarkhan?
grip full of cards over there.
Yeah. I have a blatant disrespect. It's just battle. I mean, this is worth. I mean, now Andrew can play another Sarkhan and kill your guy. All right. But not this one. Boon Satyr is going to hit, and it actually gets there too. Andrew could have responded. Doesn't make a huge difference. Though he does take risks, because right now Andrew's got a Stoke the Flames in hand. And if he lets Kibler untap, and Kibler attacks and he goes stoke it, and Kibler
Second
plays
Boon
another
Satyr.
one, he is in a world of hurt. He'd be at 1, and his Stoke would do nothing. So he's got to be careful
he
here.
let him untap.
He's letting him untap. That's stage 1.
Well, I
There's
mean,
no way. He just
He
has
wants to kill it in the middle of combat. I mean, from
Yeah.
Andrew's perspective,
Oh,
the reason
wow.
that you let him untap is because you want to kill it in the middle of combat so that you take 0. If he kills it end step, he still gets attacked by the Boon Satyr.
Oh,
But
this is
what
not
a
going to turn
blowout.
out well. And also, Andrew's got to be careful not to use that Shivering
Yikes.
Reef. He's got a Jeskai
Okay.
Charm as well. Okay. So
That one all
Boon
works.
Satyr falls off. Yep, not a big deal. In fact, that actually ends up quite nice for Andrew, as it makes Kibler draw, not one of his best cards at this point in the game off the top of his deck next turn. He does have 1 card left.
Oh,
in his
we've
hand.
moved into the dig through time portion of the festivities.
Ooh.
Kibler's going to take the opportunity while Andrew's tapped out.
To play the other Boon Satyr that he had in his hand. Yeah, Jeskai Charm, a nice one there, but this is huge. Like, what is Andrew looking for here? More Jeskai Charms? He's already used 2. He wants to try to break up those Boon Satyrs, kind of every turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the way this game is played out, he's a control deck.
Right.
So he wants answers. He wants a way to Yeah, kill the Boon Satyr, kill the other half of the Boon Satyr. You know, a 4 damage spell and a 2 damage spell would do him just fine here.
Okay.
And I mean, I think it's Kibler's happy that that's the way the game has gone, right? He's pushed Andrew onto his back foot, and now, I mean, Brian needs to finish him off. I mean, I'm still in this his teamer for real mode, right? This looks kind of scary for you and your fellow teamer fans.
It does.
Jeskai starting to dig for answers.
Yeah, see, and dig
Pun
through time
intended.
is the difference, right? Like, that's the thing that Brian's not playing, that he doesn't have. I mean, he could play it, but that he
does have
doesn't
good
have
mana.
access to in his list is the over-the-top card advantage play. He has good places to spend his mana. He has efficient spells, but Andrew just played something more powerful than anything Kibler can do in his deck.
I think that's right.
All right, well, there's a Rabble Master, which take a little bit of the heat off, at least for a turn.
A little bit. It's not the most exciting. That brings Lightning Strike into play.
Yeah, Lightning Strike's the thing. All right,
But
well,
no.
I think he's going to go for Stoke. He's
Yeah.
got the mana for Stoke the Flames here. Can block Stoke, or I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah, and it works.
I mean, the last Boon Satyr would.
Yeah, the third Boon
would have
Satyr
done
would
the
been
deal.
Super insane there.
Yeah, I think you block Stoke there.
It's 4 Boon Satyrs in the list. He's got all 4.
He's got all of them. Yeah. But he gets away with it here, and Kibler still has a reasonable board state, but there's some
Magma Jet,
Magma
yeah.
Jet. That's got to be the biggest downside to Boon Satyr right now is Magma Jet. Like, Magma Jet seems to be the card that they pull out the most often if it doesn't have reasonable targets, but against Kibler, Rattleclaw Mystic, he's got 2 different cards that he can play as morphs.
Jeez.
Wow. Heir of the Wilds, did I
Kill
mention Heir of the
everything.
Wilds?
Put the lands on the bottom. He's pushed 4 lands to the bottom of his deck this turn.
Wow.
He had 4 lands on top of his deck. He's not going to draw any of them.
Insane. And he
now
gets to attack.
Rabble Master starts going.
All right, so this is where Savage Knuckleblade would be a good one to start getting that beatdown going again. Can he find he needs just one of his big haymakers here, right? Okay, there's a haymaker. Boon Satyr number 3.
Would have been better last turn. It still might be good enough.
It might be good enough. That was half of Andrew
Yep.
Kellogg's life
Yep,
total
that
right
is
there.
a lethal creature now. Somehow Boon Satyr has looked both good and bad here.
Yes.
Ties to Magma Jet when it's knocked off, but
All right.
the Stow part has looked great.
So he takes 6 damage here. And Kibler,
It's his
I mean,
plan.
he
He
has
clearly
to
has
know,
something.
right, like that this attack isn't going to go the way he wants it to.
Oh,
Stoke
it's
the
Stoke,
Flames.
and it works. The 4th Boon Satyr would have been nuts.
Yep. And there's a lightning strike though, so we're actually kind of back in business here for Brian Kibler's side. It kind of depends on what the last cards are in hand for Andrew Kelloggg. If he can kill that Boon Satyr, then we're going to have a really tight one down the stretch. And it's the worst case for Kibler too. It's another Magma Jet. Turns out when you resolve 2 Magma Jets, you find your other Magma Jets pretty quickly.
One on the top, one on the bottom too.
Okay.
There's another. I think there's a Stoke on top of Andrew's library now.
Okay.
Although I think the card in his hand is a mountain. So they're basically in top deck mode, but one guy has gotten to Scry 6 over the last couple of turns. Morph! We don't know! Could be a Rattleclaw Mystic. Could be an Ashcloud Phoenix.
It's got to be a Rattleclaw, right? Like if you play Ashcloud Phoenix, you can block and then have a 2/2. Maybe he'd just rather have a 2/2 than a 1/4 flying.
He's
Is
gonna
that
block
possible?
a Goblin.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like this way he gets to play around Stoke. Like if he makes a Phoenix, I guess he blocks and it dies. But all right, here we go. Go to 5.
Yeah, it could legitimately be a Phoenix here.
Because he can actually kill Andrew if it is a Phoenix, though if Andrew does have Stoke, then Kibler dies. Take 2. You're down to 3. What does Kibler have?
Oh.
Another morph. This is awesome.
Blockers.
Take that. Wow, this is a close game.
Yes, it is.
That is a Stoke the Flames and I believe a land? Yeah, but you're right, it's a mountain. So this draw step is huge. stoke you. I guess he
Wow.
wants to be able to play another Stoke the
step.
Flames.
So he's got mana. He drew burn off the
Oh,
top.
and he drew a lightning strike to
off the top.
kill
Reveal your morphs,
Kibler.
Brian.
Yeah,
Okay,
there we
they're
go.
both rattle claws.
Wow, properly close game one
Wow.
between those two.
That was a good game. Yeah, Brian had basically, I mean, if Andrew doesn't draw burn there, Brian is what? Attacking him with 2 rattle claws. He has to chump with a goblin token.
Yeah,
Yeah. Andrew had 2 draw phases.
yep,
Like he gets the next draw phase as
he
well.
does to find burn. Yeah,
I mean,
Or to
barring,
find
barring
a
a
dig.
Craters, Brian top decking burn.
sure. Which he had. Yeah, he's
Top
got
decking
lightning strike.
dig. That's a thing that happens. Why are we playing Teamer again?
You can play dig in Teamer.
Why isn't he playing dig in his
Maybe
Teamer?
that's the problem. I
Maybe.
don't know. I think he's probably just finding too many of, like, it plays like a tempo deck, right? Like, he really is looking to hit things in sequence and keep you on your back heels, and he's not able to do that. One
Yeah,
of
I
our
agree.
side tables, Thiago Saporito loses to Joseph Thulmer 2-0. So that was, we've also got Mark Tobias.
Wow, that whole match is over already.
It is, yep. We've
Pro
got,
Tour Cons top 8er Thiago Saporito
that's right. yep.
already down.
He's down. He lost his match. We've got Mark Tobias versus it says Benjamin.
Oh no!
Stark.
I wanted to see this list. Did you see what Thiago's running?
I would assume Abzan.
No,
He had a pretty good weekend with it last weekend.
no, sir.
What did he run?
His deck list features such platinum hits as Hammerhand,
What?
a Crowing Crusader, Fire Drink Crusader,
Wow.
Foundry Street Denizen, Monastery Swift Spear, Frenzied Goblin.
Well, I guess that explains why
Why it's
the
over
match
already?
is over so fast. Either you win or lose really quickly with a deck
Yeah,
like that.
he's got 18 one-drops, plus 7 more one-drops,
That's cute.
which Hall of Triumph?
Yeah, one of
Yeah, just the Hall of Triumph hanging out.
red. 20 lands.
Yeah, no, he basically a boss slide deck.
Wow. I can't.
Looks like they're-
I honestly can't believe that he went away from the deck that he did so well
That he
with.
top 8 the Pro Tour with?
Yeah, like not just because, like, look, in like a computer might be able to say this one's like slightly better EV for the weekend, but like he clearly knows that deck really well. Like it's early in a format. He's going to be playing not against professionals sometimes here that are going to not have nearly as much card knowledge as he does, as much knowledge of the interactions.
The
Man, I would
metagame's
stick with
gonna
him.
shift though.
Yes.
Like if he ran back his Pro Tour deck, he would basically be saying, I know my deck won the Pro Tour, and I know that we have the target on our forehead, but I'm gonna run it anyway.
Yes,
Like
I
it
think
has
he's-
the target on
I
its
think
forehead.
I think that if you don't run it back, I think you're way overvaluing how much the metagame actually shifts for 5 days, like from the Pro Tour to here. Yeah, people are going to know about it more, but he took the most middle ground of the most middle ground deck you could. Like, it's not like people are going to show up with decks specifically tuned to beat it because there aren't any. Like, you can't just decide to beat Abzan and beat them. They're like, yeah, I still got 40% against you, and you're terrible against the field. I would have. If I knew what he knew, I would run that back all day.
There might be a window for the red decks though. There could easily be a window
Yes.
here where everybody has just gotten even slower and inbred and, clunky blue-black control lists against, 6 mana spell Abzan lists.
You know what I think happened here?
What happened?
I think he built this deck to beat the deck he won the Pro Tour with. I think you looked at it.
Yeah.
Like check this out. He's got Foundry Street Denizen. Let's see, 3 Frenzy Goblin.
Yep.
And it's just like nice Rhino. I'll just bypass that thing all day. Like he doesn't even know what his cards are called. on
Oh,
some
you
of
know what he
these.
ran into?
What did he run into?
He ran into Doomwake Giant.
Oh,
That is the Green Devotion list that was supposed to go away.
Oh,
There was no Green Devotion by day 2 of the Pro Tour. I mean, not
Oh,
much. There was a little
no.
bit, but none of it at the top of the Swiss where
Yeah.
Thiago was hanging out.
yeah.
Yeah, he ran into Unwritten Devotion. Doomwake Giants are very, very, very good
It only
against
takes
Boss
one.
Sly. Yeah, the first Doomwake Giant, you just move on to the next game.
Yeah, like unless you're in Stoke range or whatever.
Right.
That's sweet. 4 Hammerhand, 3 Frenzy Goblin. Like he was looking to just run right past everything. I like this. This is cool. I certainly don't mind the deck at all.
Yeah.
I would never play a deck like this. I am not good enough. Like these decks punish
Uh huh.
small mistakes
Right.
so hard I couldn't live with myself. And Ben Stark has picked up his match as well, 2-0 over Mark Tobias, and we got keeps down here, gentlemen. We do.
Ben Stark running back Jeskai.
Assuming so.
He top 16 of the Pro Tour
Yes, he did.
with Jeskai.
And he and
Oh,
as
I guess I have the
Luis
deck
pointed
list,
out,
don't I?
he actually did the best in constructed out of anybody at the Pro Tour.
He did.
Yeah.
Even with an intentional draw in the last round, he was
Yeah.
still first all by himself.
He somehow didn't make the top 8 of the Pro Tour because of his draft performance. This
It's a little
not
unusual
what you
for him.
expect. No.
Fully
Right.
4 nullifies in their list. That's
Yeah.
the tech they think gives them the edge against Abzan.
That's it. That's what
Just
they've moved over
counter
to.
the Rhinos.
Yep. I could see that picking up some percentage points for sure. All right, so Kibler started off with a Scryland and then followed up with a Fetchland into a Rattleclaw Mystic. So well underway here for Brian Kibler. Next turn is sort of the proving ground turn for him. See what he finds. Another tap land for Andrew Kellogg, who looks to be pretty content playing enters battlefield tap lands over and over. And it's Polukranos here on turn 3, so quite good. Doesn't die to many of the things that Andrew Kellogg's trying to do. Getting at Jeskai Charmed is like not really the end of the world. Seems good. 5/5.
Oh, yeah. Still a big man.
Magma Jet to kill the Rattleclaw Mystic, but maybe the
Slightly
damage
late.
is already done, yeah.
Comes in to play tap land curve, hurting Andrew again.
Yes.
I mean, not that it cost him the game last time, but
Now the
Definitely
question for
slowed him down.
Kibler is, because Kibler is running counter magic in this deck. We didn't see any of it last time. He literally didn't draw any of it for the whole game, but he does have counter spells in this deck.
yeah, the main deck is just the Teamer Charms, right?
No, he's also got, in the main deck? Yeah, in the main deck.
But then the board has, that Stubborn Denial is the one that looks awesome.
Yeah, he's got 3 of those, and then he's also got a couple of Disdainful Strokes as well.
Not sure this is the matchup for those.
I don't know.
Stubborn Denial is pretty good against the burn spells.
Yeah, the Stoke the Flames.
But yeah, the Disdainful Stroke really only hits Stoke.
Right.
It's not, I mean, it hits the Sarkhan, but
But as we can
so
see
many of the
here,
Jeskai
Kibler-
cards are 2s and 3s.
Yeah, and here's another. This is just awkward for Andrew Kellogg. He's played 2 off-curve spells in a row, and look at Kibler. He's got effectively 8 power and toughness on the board versus a 2/2. And it's his turn. He hasn't even done anything yet. And there's Crater's Claws
The
for
1 mana Crater's Claws.
Yep. And he
That's
battles
what you get for playing
8.
Teamer.
Yep. And okay, Kibler doesn't have a follow-up play. Now he could have a Lightning Strike or something in his hand. He could also have a Disdainful Stroke. But I think he's going to play Protect the Polukranos here and just ride it out. Like, nothing in Andrew's deck can profitably block a Polukranos, right?
Correct.
3/3s, 2/2s, 2/2s, they all just get eaten.
Yeah, it's his Banishing Lights that are useful.
Okay.
And maybe he sideboarded in End Hostilities. Probably would in this matchup.
And this is where Stubborn Denial
Mm-hmm.
at this board state would be just a blowout. End Hostilities, counter it for blue.
There's the End Hostilities.
Counter it for blue. We got there, boys. That's nice. And the scoop. It's going to do it. He was already at 60 because he took 2 huge hits there. Brian Kibler showing us how it's done.
Teamer looked a little better that time.
It did. I want to give Teamer a good amount of credit there because it did put out a 5/5 on turn
Oh, yeah.
3 and then effectively a 3/3 the next turn and protected it. I will also note that Andrew Kellogg, though, had all tap lands and kind of didn't do a ton there, right?
Right.
It was like he felt a little off.
He burned the Mana Elf after Polukranos came out.
Mm-hmm.
He played a Rabble Master that didn't do anything.
Right.
And then he went for End Hostilities.
Yeah.
I think he only cast those 3 spells.
And a perfectly reasonable line for Kellogg. I mean, he makes Kibler have it. Kibler looks like he's not in good shape if he doesn't have it, but
Andrew Kellogg shuffling 75 cards. Just the whole sideboard went in.
that looks like
It's a
a
pretty
lot more
thick
than
deck.
60, yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got to do that with these Jeskai lists, right? You have so many different ways you can play the deck, and
Totally.
you don't want your opponent to know which way you've gotten it, which way you've built it.
I sure as heck don't want Brian Kibler to know.
Yeah.
He'll notice.
Wonder if the existence of Stubborn Denial changes the way Andrew sideboards.
You know, he obviously can't see Kibler's sideboard, but if he knew what Kibler had on the board, he would take those Stubborn Denial or those and Hostilities out immediately. Like, he is not resolving that spell. Like, if Kibler's going to leave up Stubborn Denial and he's going to leave up Disdainful Stroke, that's the best target, right? I mean, that's the thing that he doesn't want to happen. So, and now it's also the best thing that Andrew Kellogg can do in most scenarios. So I don't know if,
Right.
if taking him out is the plan. How many does he have on the board?
Kellogg?
Yeah, Kellogg.
2.
2 of them. I don't know. You tell me. What do you do? Like, you've only got 2. The chances of resolving aren't big, but it is a must counter in most scenarios. This is the hard part about trying to transition into a
Right.
control deck when you're not a control deck, fully.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, if I'm Brian, I think I have Stubborn Denials, but not the Disdainful Strokes. I don't know, maybe now that you've seen End Hostilities, you go for the Disdainful Strokes? Most people are going to have it. Maybe he just assumes it. Like, I don't think Stroke is awesome against this Jeskai main deck. Like, the
No.
Strokes are really floating around for Obzon.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they do have the Stoke the Flames as a target, maybe something post board like an In Hostilities, but
Yeah, I'm not sure that's enough targets.
the weird, the thing is, like, is it a lot, like, should Andrew consider taking out the In Hostilities if he just thinks that they're going to get countered, or like taking out everything that he thinks could get countered by that? Like, what's the logic there? Like, that's like almost saying, like, I'm not going to play this really awesome card because they might kill it. It's like, well, you play the awesome card.
Andrew has to decide what his role is in this matchup. I mean, he's been forced into the control role in both of the games we've watched.
Mhm.
And in game 1, it worked out, essentially. I mean, I think that he wants to be the control player. He wants to trade cards, and eventually win with Dig Through Time. And Hostilities is part of that. Like, he may have to burn his Stubborn Denial on a Jeskai Charm or a Stoke the Flames. So no, I'm not going to board out End Hostilities just because of Stubborn Denial. Yeah, I'm only boarding out End Hostilities if I think that while I'm on the play, I actually get to be the beatdown deck.
Okay.
I mean, hypothetically. I don't think that's true. I think he's still the control player, even though he's on the play for the first time in the match. So I would leave him in.
All right, we'll see if Andrew has followed suit, perhaps. In the meantime, business as usual for Andrew Kellogg. A Scryland. Yeah, it's funny, in game 1, his deck played a lot like the blue-black control. He just one-for-one the heck out of Brian Kibler and then got ahead with Dig Through Time. There's a Disdainful Stroke for Kellogg, which seems not very well positioned against Kibler. I mean, even Kibler's 4-drop, he can play as a morph if he sniffs out the Disdainful Stroke, wants to play around it.
It's Polychronos, but
Correct.
Phoenix can dodge it.
So Kibler, I think, is going to burn this Mantis Rider with a strike. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're at parity still. Andrew Kellogg made a nice play to try to get ahead, but Kibler had the answer for it. Now, what is his follow-up? That's the question. And Heir of the Wilds is pretty unexciting here, and he doesn't even bother casting it. He must have a maybe Kibler did bring in his own Disdainful Stroke. He's got 2 on the board.
Could have up Teamer Charm.
There you go.
Or Boon Satyr. Perfect.
This is clever, right? Like, Teamer Charm threat, and then if you don't do anything, I'll just Boon Satyr instead. And bang, Boon Satyr gets in for 4.
Yeah,
so
the other thing Brian could do there is he could just leave up Burn to hit a Rabble Master. Like, you don't want to let the Rabble Master make a Goblin.
Totally.
So Boon Satyr lets you leave up Burn to kill a Rabble Master before combat. And then again, yeah, end step, boom, down comes the Boon Satyr.
Interesting. And Kibler, playing carefully here, he now plays Heir of the Wilds, but has ominously left 2 mana up, and Kellogg is going to have to decide what he wants to play around and what he doesn't. I think he's got another, he's got a Vanishing Light, and
No.
Disdainful Stroke
No.
is going to counter that if the Boon Satyr's alive, and
Stubborn
it is.
Denial, not Boon.
Sorry, Stubborn Denial, correct. Nice. So plan A for Kibler is underway.
That is the other nice thing Boon Satyr does, by the way, is it is a 3-mana Ferocious Enabler, like the Knuckleblade.
Oh yeah, totally. And at instant speed. Like, there's some interesting tricks you could do with
Instant
that.
speed, suddenly I have Ferocious. You thought
Yeah,
you were ready to pay 1 for Stubborn Denial, but no.
yeah. It's interesting there. All right, so Kibler with the windmill of Sarkon, the Dragon Speaker, but it's going to get disdainful stroked here from Andrew Kellogg. But Kibler's like, I don't think he worries that much. Remember, that's half of your life
Crunch.
total, Andrew.
Hit you
7. Boom. So now you got to do something. It's not that hard. Kibler's board is not that hard to deal with. A pair of burn spells, even just one burn spell, would take a lot of the heat off. Hey, look,
Oh, Magma Jet off the
a
top.
burn spell.
Not just any burn spell
Yeah,
either.
the burn spell. So Andrew's got to figure out how he can get himself out of this mess. More importantly, though, for Andrew is what's in Brian Kibler's hand. Because
Yeah, and now we're main phase.
here.
None of this letting you untap.
Yes, that's smart, Andrew.
He's got Mantis Rider and a land there. Does he
Mantis
top
Rider
the Mantis
seems
Rider?
decent. I don't know. I
Or
mean,
does he
it-
need to do? I haven't seen his hand.
yeah, takes care of the Air of the Wild
Yeah,
somewhat.
I think you top deck. I think you top bottom. Set yourself up to draw Mantis Rider next turn.
There we go. He's got 2 cards, I believe, in his hand, 3. So have a bunch of good stuff there too. Attack for 2. Andrew Kellogg drops down to 5. His life total's getting pretty precarious against the deck that does have burn spells in it in the form of Crater Claws and Lightning Strike. But this turn, not much. Just an Elvish Mystic for Kibler. Of course, this is the downside of the of any deck that runs a card like Elvish Mystic, is that on turn 1, it's really one of the best plays you can make, and here on turn 6 or 7, it's pretty
not
miserable.
awful here. I mean, it's way better than a land.
True.
I mean, with Andrew down to 5,
It's
the ability
also-
to attack with a 1/1 is something Andrew's going to have to deal with it.
It's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much has to Lightning Strike the Mantis Rider when your opponent's at 5. Can't feel great.
That cannot feel great,
But
but
he's
Kibler
clearing a
wasted
path
no
for 3
time.
power. So.
Yeah. Go down to 2. And Kibler just has another Frontier Bivouac, passes the turn back. Ooh. Dig through time for just 2 mana here.
Tapping
Now,
a pain land.
yeah,
down
he
to
did.
1.
He's down to 1. Which actually matters. You know, you mentioned it. That elf, all of a sudden, now it's lethal.
Yep.
There's a lot of scenarios that you'll find where the difference between 2 and 1 isn't really relevant in Standard because, like, the burn spells all kill you. That's not the case here. That elf's a big game. All right, so Andrew Kellogg, this is a huge, I mean, this is a decision for his entire match here is which 2 cards do I keep, and are there 2 cards that get him out of this mess in that pile?
Pretty sure I saw 2 burn spells.
There's a Jeskai
Jeskai
Charm and
Charm.
a Lightning Strike. The rest of these go on the bottom. Kibler's going to have a heck of a lot of outs here, though. Even if both of these creatures get killed, Savage Knuckleblade coming down with haste would do it, probably. His
Crater's
other
Claws,
Sarkon would do it. Crater's
Lightning Claw.
Claws, Lightning Strike. Andrew Kellogg playing the Jeskai list. It's a proven deck thus far in Standard, and he's played it with 3 dig-through times. And he set himself up nicely here. The question is, can he get out of this mess?
Man down.
Kibler double checking that that's the one he wanted to aim at. Kibler with just 1 card in hand. And there's a Jeskai Charm. Interesting. I like that. It puts the elf back on top and limits those draws. Oh, but Kibler had a Pelucranos, and now that he sees the doors open with only 1 blue mana up for Kellogg, he windmills it. So 2 lethal threats. There's a Stoke to Flames off the top for Kellogg, but Pelucranos gets around that quite nicely.
I don't
What
know
do
how
you got,
Andrew gets
Andrew?
out of this now.
What do you got? Could be burn spell and another Jeskai Charm, but this is a tough spot.
Yeah, 5th point of toughness is really good against the Jeskai decks. That's why Siege Rhino is such a
Okay.
pain.
So he made a morph, so he's gonna block and then stoke the elf.
Well, you block. Yeah, that,
He can't do it the other way. So
Wow.
stoke the elf's flames here. Kibler's looking at he's tapped out, so if Kibler has something, he can do whatever he wants here. But I wonder if he's got a Boon Satyr or something. Okay, chump block with a Phoenix, and this is a draw step that he needs.
land.
Nothing, and that's going to do it. Brian Kibler defeats Andrew Kellogg with his Teamer Monsters deck there. Good close games. He
Yes.
went toe-to-toe with Jeskai. I would say, like, I feel like Andrew's deck was a little better positioned there. Like, it could pivot a little easier.
It looked it in game one, but
Yeah.
both sideboarded games, not so much.